Hello and welcome to this Pierce County Library System cooking program. My name is Matthew Hurley. I work at the South Hill Pierce County Public Library. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of cooking. Specifically, I am going to be sharing the recipe for traditional Dandan Noodles. And so here we have sort of all of the ingredients for the sauce, which is our first and most important step. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll just talk about what all the different ingredients kind of do as I go. So to start with, we are going to want 2 teaspoons of sesame paste, and I've laid it out right here, so let's go ahead and mix that in. And the sesame paste is nice because it gives a sort of very, like a very savory, like robust sort of, like base to the sauce. When you smell it, if you've never smelled soy paste before, almost like peanut butter. And it kind of has that same, like, savory, like, flavor as well. And so it's a great place to start. From there, we're going to add 2 tablespoons this time for sure, not teaspoons, 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. And that's going to help start to soften the sesame paste up, because we're going to want it to turn into a sauce for when we add it to the noodles ultimately. And let's get that kind of mixed in. And following that, we're going to take 2 tablespoons of just soy sauce. And so you're welcome to mix that in. That already smells pretty good to me. And you don't have to get everything to combine completely. There's a lot of oils in here, so it'll probably be a little bit separated, and that's just fine, because we'll be sure to whisk it up one more time before we put it over the noodles. And now we're going to put in just a little bit, 1/4 of a teaspoon of Golden Mountain seasoning sauce. And that's just going to give a little bit more, like, a little bit more umami, a little bit more of a rich taste to it, which soy sauce also does. So if you can't find mountain sauce, which of all the ingredients I'm using today is probably the hardest to find, don't worry, just add a tiny bit more soy sauce and you'll get the same effect. And so now we're going to add 4 tablespoons, quite a bit, of chili oil. And this is a little tiny bit spicy, so we're adding 4 tablespoons, but if you find that that's maybe a little spicy for you, feel free to go for 3 tablespoons and add an extra tablespoon of cooking oil instead, if 4 is just a little too spicy for you. I like it like that, so not so much of a big deal for me, but everybody likes it a little different. And so then we're going to add chili crisp, which is distinct from the chili oil. You can see that it's more of the sort of like sediment. And I'm using 2 different brands, one for the chili oil and one for the crisp. I will show you that at the end of this video in case you're curious. But let's mix those in. And this has a really great sort of savory taste. I really love the chili crisp. It has like just a very unique flavor to it, and it's really, really good. So let's mix that in. And then we are going to get a little bit of chinkiang vinegar. You're going to want about 1/4 to 1/2 of a tablespoon, just depending on how vinegary you like it. Some people like that vinegar taste a little bit more, so if that describes you, you're probably going to want to go up to 1/2 a teaspoon. If it's a little bit less high in your priorities, we're going to be looking at 1/4 of a teaspoon. And so now I've chopped some ginger. There's not really a specific amount, it's to taste. And also how big you chop the ginger. I've made it quite large because I like to get that burst of ginger. But if you make it finer, it'll be more dispersed in the dish. So let's go ahead and get that ginger in there real quick. Oh yeah. And everything's mixed in, it's all ruminating together. We're going to add also just 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Nothing too special there. Just to sort of strengthen the flavors a little bit. And also, this is another interesting one. We're going to add between 1/4 and 1/2, again, depending on how spicy you like it, teaspoon of Szechuan pepper. And Szechuan pepper is a little funny. The brand I get isn't super high quality, and so it comes, and you can kind of see, it might be a little difficult, but they're sort of little seed pods, and you have to pick the seeds out because the seeds are no good. But the pods have a very unique sort of spicy flavor that's indicative of a lot of Szechuan cooking. And it's very strong, and it has a very unique sort of almost mouth-numbing flavor to it. And so we're going to want to add just a little bit. It's quite good in small amounts. Okay, and that's all mixed up, and oh, that is excellent. And so now we're going to be using these noodles a little bit. Okay, so now you're going to want to get some water going. And we have our buckwheat noodles. I'm using about 10 ounces worth. And we are going to grab these and drop them right in that boiling water. It's not quite like pasta, so you won't need any olive oil or anything like that. Make sure the noodles get down into the water. And now we're just going to take a tablespoon of cooking oil and put it in our wok. If you don't have a wok, you can also use a frying pan. It's not quite as good, but it will still work. And we are going to let these noodles cook for about 5 minutes, and at the same time we're going to put our wok on just like kind of low, medium, low heat. Just get that oil kind of heating up and get the wok warm. So now the noodles have been cooking for about 5 minutes. So first thing, we're going to turn our wok up to medium heat just to get it warmed up. We're going to take these noodles over to the strainer, strain them out. And we now, that wonderful sauce we made earlier, we're going to go one more time just to make sure it is fully mixed together and ready. And we are actually going to take that and throw it in the bottom of our wok. And remember, the wok's heating up now, so you don't want to spend very much time. This is a real quick process. We're going to put those right in the wok. And we're going to mix that wonderful sauce in with the noodles. And it's going to spend maybe maximum like 1 minute and 30 seconds on the wok. Because we're not trying to fry the noodles, we're not really trying to stir fry them or saute them, we're not trying to get any burnt flavor out of the noodles. We're just basically creating a warm, nice environment to mix that sauce in with the noodles. That is probably about enough time. You're welcome to mix it a little tiny bit longer if you so choose. But we're going to go ahead and get our serving bowl ready. Give it a little bit of a shake in the wok just to make sure everything's settled. And we are now looking at a nice big bowl of Dandan Noodles. Serves about 2. It's a little tiny bit spicy, but in a very flavorful way. It's not overpowering. One last thing, I just wanted to give everybody a closer look at the ingredients I used today. So I'm going to show these off in the same order that I used them in. And these are the brands I use just because either they're what I feel works best or what happens to just be available in my local grocery store. But if you use something a little different, as long as the recipe still works for you, that's perfectly fine. This is a recipe that's a modified version of a recipe from the book The Food of Schezuan, on page 918 if you're using the Libby app on your phone. And that book's by Fuchsia Dunlop. You can find it online at our Pierce County Library System website or through the Libby app like I said previously. So thank you everybody for stopping in. I really appreciate it.